Hello, I'm Ira Timothy of the Association of Iroquois and Allied Indians. I'm very honored to be able to sit with somebody who is an esteemed elder, leader, knowledge keeper, and has very much to share with us. So I'm very happy to be able to sit with him and be able to embrace into his knowledge. Can you please introduce yourself, sir?
My name is Terry Kanarlaganyat de Sedation. Kanarlaganyat de means the tip of the branch. Sahanacha, our last name, means the three poles that holds the cook pot up over the fire. I'm of the Bear Clan and I live here in Wahta, Mohawk Territory.
There's a growing concern these days about our youth and a comparison between now and the way they used to be. I'm very happy to say that Terry has grown up in the older ways, the traditional ways, and has much knowledge about such activities. Can you tell us about some of the activities you did when you were younger?
Oh, there's a variety of things. We were hunters, gatherers, fishermen, a lot of woodcutters. Logging was a big thing, so a lot of our people were always out in the woods. We were always on the land. We always took a 22 or something and we went out and spent the day in the woods. And we weren't very good hunters as a little kid, so we would shoot squirrels. Whoever got the squirrel, they got the heart and the liver, and the rest of us, we got the rest of the squirrel, and we cooked it over an open fire, just to energize ourselves from being on the land all that time. In those days, we didn't have any electronics. The water at that time, everyone had a hand-dug well. So that was one of the activities, is to clean the well out in the spring and in the fall. Scrub it down and make sure there's no contaminants in it. And that usually done as the season. And then all the time we would always be cutting firewood because that's how we heated our homes. And as activity-wise, well, there's always the snow shoveling. There was no snow blowers. We did everything by hand. There was no wood splitters. We swung the axe, and that was a big part of I guess what you say, the culture, the way of life here in Wahta. Because when the people came here, there was about 15 freshwater lakes and 2 big rivers.
It's really interesting, Terry. Now, the thing that I'm trying to understand is, did things get different when you got older? What were some of the physical activities you did with your family and friends?
Well, we used to go hunting, and it was my uncle that taught me how to hunt. He was also a trapper, so I learned to trap and hunt through my uncle. And a lot of the men here were good hunters, and a lot of times I was lucky enough that they asked me to go hunting with them. So all of my experience in hunting comes handed down from older people, older hunters, and as young guys, that's how we picked up on it and learned it. And when you live on the land, you need to know your land. You need to know where the animals are. And so there was a lot of walking through the woods for maybe half a day or a full day, depends on your energy level. So that was one of the big things, is getting wild game. And a lot of the foods we ate was ducks and partridge, rabbits and beavers and deer. And we don't eat bear because we are the Bear Clan family, so that's following the old traditions. So we don't bother with the bears. But all my teaching about the bush and learning that came from elders that passed those things down to me. So I was lucky to come up, be born at the right time. I'm 68 years old now, and so that's I was lucky to see all the changes, because way back when the land was pure. You could drink water from any creek. You could eat anything from the land and not be worried about it. But today, the evolution of time, you got to watch the water, because a lot of the water's polluted. You just can't take things from the earth the way it used to be. You got to be very careful. A lot of times people want to learn land-based things, and yeah, you can learn it, but you don't experience it and able to use that unless you stay in the woods. Live off the land. Go in the woods for 30 days, a month, and live off the land every day. And from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep, you're busy all day long. It's a routine. As soon as it got light, we'd be up. So we only did activities on the land through the daylight. We very rarely were out in the nighttime. And that's the old way. And the firekeepers in that time, yeah, if you were the firekeeper in the camp, you had no blankets. Everyone else had a blanket. So you were the first one to wake up cold because the fire went low, so you'd have to put more wood in it. So that's the old way.
You talked about the differences and how it would shape and change the youth. Can you really tell the difference when it comes to diet between now and then?
How we were brought up with food is that whatever was on the table, you had to eat it. And if you didn't eat it, my mother would say, you sit there until it's done. So a lot of things we didn't like as a kid because your palate, your taste buds are strong, sensitive. So I didn't really like cabbage. So now today I like cabbage and turnips and that. But when you're young, your taste buds are different. They used to try to trick us with beef liver and pork liver. And beef liver tastes not too bad, but pork liver is kind of a bitter. So they would slip in pork liver. They had things in that day like head cheese and blood sausage and all those old-time foods, that pork hocks. Those things were very affordable for people. Didn't have a lot of money, so we had the lowest grade meats from the stores. So that's why we always like to go on the land and harvest rabbits and ducks and partridge and that kind of food. And that's out through the cycle. There's different times when you harvest those things, eh? And there's other times when those animals are going to mate and have young ones. So you got to know all that. Respect, let them reproduce, say. And we only took horned deer. We never took a doe because that was our reproduction. We always did a lot of fishing. As far as the gardens go, there was a lot of big gardens here, but potatoes, carrots, onions, turnips, cabbage, that was the main thing that you would find in the root cellars, because they held good in a wet root cellar. So a lot of our people had root cellars. A lot of the lumber camps had root cellars and to feed the loggers when they're cutting in the woods. So gardening is a big thing, and some of the people that had big gardens, they would call it a community garden today, but they would open it up to anybody that was short of food. They could come to that garden, help themselves to the carrots, or corn, potatoes. They used to grow white corn here on a hagara, squash, beans, a lot of potatoes, a lot of vegetables, onions, all that kind of thing was really good. It was really living off the land at that time. In those days we used bacon grease because we used that as a cooking oil. So every time we had pork with fat, we'd save the drippings and use it for cooking because we didn't have any vegetable oil or anything like that. Diabetes was rarely talked about or discovered in our people because our physical activity, we walked everywhere we went. As a kid, there was footpaths all over the place. Guys were really big on maple syrup here in Wahta, and they would make 45 to 70 gallons of syrup and walk it all the way into the town of Bala and sell it at the little grocery store there. So that was our main sugar. We didn't sweeten her. We didn't have the white sugar. And when the white sugar came in, that's really what done the people in for the diabetes, because they started putting it on everything and using it in their drinks and as a sweetener. And that really, we're not accustomed to the white sugars. So the white sugar cane did a lot of damage to us native people. But the maple syrup, it never did. That's the one for us, is the one from the leader of the tree.
Terry, all of that is absolutely fantastic, and it's a treasure trove of reflection, being able to look at now and then and the differences, especially amongst our people. With that in mind, do you have any advice for the people now when it comes to type 2 diabetes?
Well, I had type 2 diabetes, and metformin and blood pressure pill. What happened to me is a poor diet and lack of exercise. Got really heavy. I was probably 340 pounds at one point. And you don't feel good. Your spirit's down. You're not like it used to be. So what happened is I got tired of the psoriasis and not feeling good and the overweight, so I started walking. Anybody's got diabetes, a walk 2 kilometers a day. It'll help you much, and that'll knock the weight off of you. The other thing is stop using sugar. Try to use an alternate sweetener and don't use any sugar. Everything's got sugar in it. And did yoga and Tai Chi, because they're on television for exercise 1, it's for elders. So I do that every day, and I go for 2 kilometers and lost the weight, and I threw those pills and out the door. I no longer take metformin, I no longer take a blood pressure pill, and I no longer have psoriasis. I had psoriasis so bad from that medicine. I always wore prescription glasses from the age of 15 years old, and when I got to around 32 years old, I guess that's when they figured out I had diabetes. And when I got it under control through exercise, diet, and and walking, and watch what you eat, no sugar, my eyes returned back to normal. So the eye doctor sent it into the license bureau. I no longer have to wear a condition, a restriction of wearing eyeglasses, because my eyes went back to 20/20 vision. I got perfect vision, no longer need. So you can beat diabetes, but you got to work on it. You got to have a reason, and you have to use a strong mind. You have to be dedicated, and you have to use every day. And when you don't feel like it, that's the best time to do it, because the end reward after exercising, walking, and watching your diet and losing them pounds, your spirit, your health, your mental thinking, everything comes back. You start to come back into be balanced again. We get so out of balance because of our health, our weight, it affects everything in our metabolism, in our mind, body, and spirit. So I would suggest that to anybody. If you really got a good heart and you believe and you want to get healed, then you can do it. But you have to put your exercise program in place and be strong and stick with it.